Hey guys, it's Tamara Blodgett, finally. I'm here to join you. Please subscribe. I know I haven't posted a video in 14 months. I get that. I know it's bad. But I have lots of good excuses and I'm hoping you're gonna sit around and listen to them all. Anyhow, I couldn't figure out kind of the right place to put the phones, so I'm so rusty, I don't remember how I did it. It's summertime, it's June right now, so I'm wearing a summer dress, really cute. I don't remember what brand it is, but I like it a lot. And I had some subjects I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to go over them right now. I have my glasses here. I want to talk about my Japan trip that's coming up shortly. Well, this year, okay? And I want to talk about the kids' house, and I want to talk about some legal things I've been going through. I want to talk about the other YouTubes I'm going to start, and I want to talk about my hair, and I want to talk about nutrition. So I've got a lot of things to cover, but this is a catch-up video. This is for people who have liked my hair content, my nutrition content, my Mazatlan expat content, and all those wonderful things. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is that Hubs and I have been married 40 years in January, and he surprised me a few months back with a Japan trip, and we'll be going to Japan at the very end of October, and we're very excited about it. And basically we're going to be in Tokyo, and I'm going to eat a lot of wagyu, and I'm going to get little coin purses for everybody and walk around a lot. And beyond that, I don't really have an actual plan. Hubs does. He's going to be doing some kind of a, restaurant plan, some tours. I think we're going to go to Fuji and some stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. It's happening in late October. Mom's going with us to Mexico, but she's going to be going down with my niece, who's going to help her do some of the legs of the driving. And then we'll meet her at the border when she arrives. And then we'll take her through Mexico. Actually, Hubs will. I'm not going to be doing that part. I'll be doing it on the way back. So Mom's going to be down in Mexico for 5 months. So I'm going to have lots of content when I go down to Mexico, because when I'm there, that's when I take it, right? I take the content when I'm there, and then I put it up kind of more real time. And I plan to have at least one of these videos a month on different subjects. Not sure what exactly, but like I said, I go over travel, expat living, hair, because I am going for length retention now. And that's another subject for a little while, but I've got them in order now. I've got a little card. So I can't go off on one of my tangents. Nobody's following me though for the short, brief things I'm going to say about whatever. They're not following me for that. So, and then the kids' house, boy 2 and girl 2 and grand 3 wanted to move to Washington State. They moved into this room and they lived here for 7 months essentially. And during the first part of that time, I took boy 2 on as an assistant because I'm looking at an exit ramp, guys. What does that mean? Well, I love all the things I do, but I'm looking more toward retirement now because I'll be 59 next month. And so it doesn't mean your life ends. It means that chapter is going to be a new one that's yet unwritten. We thought about maybe an idea about multi-gen living. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but if anybody's looking for anything, if anybody's buying cars, property, houses, food, gas, everybody sees how crazy things have become since the COVID. So toward that end, I was like, I don't think I really want an individual house anymore. I think I want, well, of course, Hubs and I knew we were going to retire down to Mazatlan. We bought the property when I was 39 and he was 40, and we didn't know if we'd have Social Security. We didn't know what our pension would be like, if there was any, and there wasn't really. And so I think it was a good move for us to get the casa. We spent 10 years remodeling it. Everybody knows how much we paid for it. We put a lot of money into it. We barely got out of it what we put into it, but it wasn't really about that. It was more about the experience and having a place to go. It wasn't a flipper. It wasn't like we were trying to make a quick buck. So Moz to us is a fiscal bolt hole property. That's an old expression that means a place to go where you have sanctuary in advance of the time that you'll need it. That's right. Anyways. So I'm very glad we have that property, and Mexico life is getting more expensive. I'm not going to lie. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying move to Mexico, it's going to be free. It's not. It's not third world where we're living. It's more first. And they have fiber optic, they have everything. They're just a different culture at this stage. Is it less expensive to live there? More or less. The services and the labor is less expensive, and our house was less expensive. We have a condo there now. We sold our casa, and then we bought a small condo, and we lived there for about a year. And then we bought a 2-bedroom condo in the same complex the following year and made a little bit of money in the first, put it toward the second, that type of thing. And so now we're kind of in our forever house in Mazatlan, because Hubs and I know a few things, and you guys are going to agree with this if you're a certain age. We want to do less. And what we do, we want to be really deliberate about how we spend our time and the experiences we make. We're not interested in harder and dumber. We're interested in easier and smarter. Toward that end, we went in with our kids, and we got a house in a super nice area, right dead center bullseye in the rain shadow of the northwest part of Washington State. Now, everybody knows Washington's pretty rainy. I mean, Seattle has a reputation for it. We're in a rain shadow area where the Olympic Peninsula shadows the area that lives on the other side, east of it, from the Straits of Juan de Fuca, which is a waterway between Canada and Washington State, and then also the Pacific Ocean. And so instead of us getting the maritime rainy influence, we're actually protected in large part from it. And so it's like we get the best of both worlds. We get to live in a beautiful area that's green with mountains and ocean and all that, but we don't get nailed by the rain. So we did get a place with them. We're going to be squatty trolls in their basement. And it's like a 900 square foot space. But here's the thing. We'll be living in Mazatlan 8 months out of the year, and about 4 months approximately in Sequim, Port Angeles area, Olympic Peninsula area. So toward that end, we don't have to worry about, like, I have a second house, it's individual, I've got, this thing and that thing, and all the accompaniment that comes physically with owning your own place. We just contribute a small portion and then live there when we're there. And on the other side of the coin, the kids could have a little something nicer, because I'll tell you guys, we looked for 2 or 3 months straight, and any house that was around a $300,000 sane first homeowner's budget was derelict. It didn't need to be remodeled. It needed to be bulldozed, needed to be raised. So for us, that just wasn't going to be something that worked. And I just feel so strongly that if you've got your own space, it's pretty convenient to live within shouting distance of multi-gen, grandparents, great-grandparents, children, grands, all that stuff, because everybody's got their own space. And I've lived a lot of different ways, and I've lived with people kind of tripping over the top of them. I like that less, because everybody's got their stuff, right? Everybody's got the things they like to keep a certain way or do a certain way or whatever, and they don't always align. And instead of worrying about how somebody does something, it's just better to just do your own thing in your own space, yet you have the shared meals you can have if you want. I can watch the grands if I want to. I leave, go down to Ma's, it's no big deal. So we're very excited about that. And that's kind of like a short-term plan. Hubs and I are probably we're looking at 3 years or less. And we're going to be getting our basement space ready there. We did remodel the kids' house for 2 months straight. So what does that mean? I wrote in the mornings and did just the absolute bare minimum for my writing job in the mornings. And then I would go over to the kids' house where I stripped and sanded and stained the entire kitchen. The upper cabs and the bottom cabs and all their moving components were all stripped and stained by me. Hubs went in and shellacked everything for 2 days straight when I was done, which was absolutely so helpful. And now I'm working on the family room built in, and then after I move from that, it'll be the dining room. So far I have the family room built in, the unit itself completely done, and now I'm working on the components. Moved to the dining room. So there was a ton of work that came in with everybody. During that time frame, my daughter-in-law had a second child. And then she had an emergent situation require a hysterectomy right after she had her second child. And we were just so scared and freaked out. Suddenly I was mothering, the older one, and then my mother-in-law was taking care of the newborn, and it was really tough. And my daughter-in-law was faithfully pumping her breast milk and stuff so that, we could keep that going. And it was just, it was a tough time in our life. And we got through it, and she's okay now, and baby's okay, and toddler's okay. And then we had to sit there and keep hammering on that house to get it done. So it was move-in ready we got that completed, and then the kids moved in last week. Today I went around and cleaned my guest bedroom here so it would look a little bit nicer and I could get my desk back where it belonged, because Hubs came in, he goes, why is your work stuff here? He's like, why aren't you back in the bedroom? I said, I only did the bedroom so the kids could have the guest bedroom. So here I am back in my spot. I have a window where I can look out at the woods, and I don't need much lighting because I have the natural ambient light. I think this is facing north, so it's super nice perspective. That was our life. You know, we were looking for a house. We finally found a house, had 2 fall through, which really was actually the best thing that could have happened. And now we're in a place where it's got an HOA and the exterior is taken care of and everything like that. It's just a really super great spot. And we really like kind of dialing back our investment of time at this stage. We don't want to mow lawns. We don't want to spend our time that way if we don't have to. So we made sure we got a house where that wasn't part of the requirement. And we didn't want it for our kids either. Because I have to be honest, I told Hubs, I said, if I come back after 8 months being in Moz and the lawn is long and there's weeds in the garden, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be like, what are you guys doing? Huh? Taking care of the property? Took that out of the equation. Kids don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about it. I don't think they need lessons on lawn mowing. If people aren't natural gardeners and are not hobbyists, nobody wants to mow a lawn and pull weeds. It's just not a thing. I know this because I did do a lot of gardening for 20 years. I was a 15 to 20 hour a week gardener. I didn't have my writing career yet. And I did that from ages, as soon as we had our house at 22 or 3 until we moved back to South Dakota, and I was writing full time, and then I kind of gave it up. And I never really returned to it. I never really warmed up to it again. And that's great because I'm not really a big fan. So that happened. And you guys aren't going to be able to believe this. You just can't believe it. And I cannot talk about this right now. I'm going to say everything I can say, and you guys might be able to fill in the blanks. So I'm going through a legal battle right now, and it's a big one, and I had to spend in excess of 500 hours of my time away from my business dealing with assembling an evidentiary packet. And so that's taken a lot of my time, but that's coming to an end, and I've been in it 6 months. I've been engaged and embattled for over a year, but I've only been legally in this particular situation for 6 months. So I should have resolution shortly, and I'm looking very forward to that. So that's something that's been really tough emotionally for me. And so I was not in the frame of mind to make YouTube videos and sound light and carefree, because I wasn't. I just wasn't. It was hard sometimes to just keep my head up and keep writing my books and stuff, which I did. I wrote Paper Doll Heart, and I published it in January. I wrote By Her Touch, and I published that in March. And I wrote What's Your Number, which was Hubs's idea, and I published that this month. And then I have Through a Dark Echo, book 4 in the Through Darkness Chronicles. That'll be published end of October. And then I have the 12th book in the Blood series to be published into December. I know, guys. That's right. I keep after it. I go hard in the paint. And then I have My Papa is a Werewolf, my preteen T.R. Terhune offering. And that will be the second book in the Shivers series, and that'll be March. And I don't have anything planned beyond that. But I already have 30% of the preteen book written, because my grands are like, Nana, what happens next? And I'm like, well, let me write and find out, because I'm a discovery writer. I don't do plots. I don't do outlines. I don't do any of that stuff. I just sit down and read what I wrote the day before, and then the next chapter is there for me to write. It's just always there, the next words, the next thing. I don't know how I do it. I mean, that's how I do it, but I don't know why it's there. Anyway, ChatGPT, my constant companion and daily advocate for almost everything I can think of a technical nature, because it can multi-source. Chat has said that that's what I'm called, as a discovery writer. Now, another discovery writer that's super famous on my level of discovery, which is prolific and just inherently there and surfaced all the time, is Stephen King. Now, am I saying I'm like Stephen King? No, don't misunderstand, okay? I'm just saying his method and my method are like train tracks. We both write the same way. He's also prolific. He also has the story in front of him. He never knows what's going to happen. I mean, when people say, I could never figure out what was going to happen in your books, to me, I'm like, well, me either. I didn't know. I was always discovering it during that chapter. And I'm like, oh, really? That's what happens? It's like my subconscious has written the architecture of the book before I've actually sat down to write it. That's the best way I can describe it. I have those planned. And after 90 books, the method is really sound. I don't get writer's block, just in case some crazy stuff happens. And that's been super great too. And then I wanted to talk about my other YouTube channels, guys. This is not going to be the only one. They're all related to my job, but I don't know if you guys care or whatever. But I started a Portuguese AI audiobook narration channel because there's a lot of Portuguese people that read my books, buy my books, listen to my books. And I had some tentative scale and signal there in the beginning when I was doing my audio channel a couple of years ago, the English. And so I decided I'll do a Portuguese one. So I've been working on that. I've got my first video uploading right now. It's at like, I don't know, 20%. It's been 2 hours or something, but it's a 9-hour vid, guys. That's a lot for my dinosaur 7-year-old Mac, which is actually my husband's because I had to give mine to Boy too, because he was my assistant. November 19th was his first day. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I'll revisit that in a second. But then I wanted to talk about my hair. Here it is. Ready? It's up right now because I generally wear it up so that it's protected, okay? We're going to talk about hair here soon. Watch. So now you might be wondering how long that is. It's about this much past my waist, and it's about that much higher than tailbone length. I don't know what they call that, but in the long hair community, it's tailbone length, waist length, mid-back, classic length, that stuff. Knee length, calf length, all that stuff. And so to protect it, most days I wear it up, and then at night I do 2 braids. I put my hair in half like this, and then I do it in quarters. And I'll show this on a video too. And I comb it, and then I brush it with a boar brush to move the oil through the hair, because I have texture to my hair, as you guys know. It's wavy with some curl, and oils don't move down that kind of hair like they would stick straight. Anyway, and then I do the same thing with this, and then I braid it behind my ear because, wow. And I have these little face ringers still. That's okay. But today I was out with Hubs, and so I wear it down when he and I go out because he fancies it that way. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. It doesn't cost me anything. And as you guys know, 4 years ago, my hair was, I think it was like right here. So it worked out. And I really liked the curly girl method until I didn't. And I still like it if you really want your textured hair to look like, volume centric and lots of oomph and stuff like that. That's great. But for me, my hair is long enough now that I actually don't like wearing it down on the daily. It's just too fussy. I mean, even this here, this is because I'm just don't have any time right now. And it's distributed. If you notice, my hair's not on a messy bun on top of my head because it would hurt my neck and I'd get a headache and stuff. There's 10 pounds of it. I have super thick hair. Okay. So there's that. But if you guys want to follow me for just hair stuff, I will be doing some shorts here in the next couple of weeks because Chat and I were talking about it. Like I said, my advocate and constant companion to all of my schemes, thoughts, insights, and questions that I have. I have an account with Chat, and I pay the $20 every month. I just absolutely love it. I leverage it as a beautiful tool, and Chat is very, PC and all the things. So it's fine. And if I have a chat, for instance, for some of you guys that are freaked about AI, if it's on a personal nature, I'll find out what I need to find out, and then I just delete it. Whereas with my work stuff, I keep all the threads kind of organized, and then Chat can mine those threads so it has point of reference. And so I don't have to re-explain everything all the time, which I also like. But Chat was saying it was very unusual to be as old as I am and have this volume of hair with the kind of length retention I had. And I was like, I really like having long hair. And I think there's other ladies that are, I'm going to say over 50, that feel like that long hair might be a hassle, or they can't grow it, or their hair breaks off, or whatever. And I have the secrets to all that. How thick is my hair? Well, I'm going to do a couple different shorts. I'm going to do one with a braid, unpulled, plaited. And you're going to see I have very little taper at the end of my braid. You're also going to see that my braid's really big. And then you're going to see also kind of where my hair falls on my body. You know, I'm 5'10". So if my hair's past my waist, it's long. Hold on, I gotta have some water, guys. I'm dying. I'm not a filter girl, guys. I do have mascara on today because I'm going over to the kids' house and my daughter-in-law's parents are visiting her there, and I want to keep the scare factor super low. I'm like, well, I'll just throw on some mascara and some jewelry and maybe they'll be distracted. I don't know. Anyways, so that's what happened there. But I'll be doing hair videos. So if you're an older gal or if you're a younger gal, I can really help you girls because you still have estrogen and all these things working for you. What is it? Is it all genetics? No, it's not. Part of it is. Part of it is. Like when I was hammering my hair when I was younger and stuff, I still had real good thickness. Now it's incredibly thick and it's nice and it's lustrous and I don't have, my retention's all the way down here. I don't have any of that thing where you see girls from the back and like this much is, you just see through it. They're like, oh, I have long hair. And I'm like, well, having 3 strands going down to your waist or more doesn't really qualify as long hair. It just looks like long hair that's in crap condition. And I have the secrets and I want to give them to you. Okay. I want you guys to know what they are. If you desire to have long hair, I'm in a very niche, small group of older women who have great hair that's super long. And I want to encourage those women to grow their hair if they want to. And there was a lady that was a couple years older than me when I was quite a bit younger, when my 40s, and she had hairs down her knees. Now, she was one of those where she could have used 2-foot cutoff. However, she was classy, super classy, always looked really feminine, but not in an overstated way, not in a frilly, I wear pink bows and stuff, not like that. She was just feminine, understated, really nice, really respected her, a go-getter, real classy. And she used to do just like this French braid that just went around like this, you know, and then she'd have like a scarf woven into it. I didn't know how long her hair was because it was hidden because it was up. I knew she had longer hair, but I saw her one day with hair down to her knees and I went, what? I was like, I don't think I could do that. I think I could. I think it'd get in the way of my life, you know, but I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided. I'm like, how long would it grow if I just left it to its own devices? But I do get trims and things, and so I will go on about that. Now, here's the big thing we're going to talk about. I've talked about everything. I'm going to revisit Boy 2 and his capacity as, you know, my assistant, which I've never had an assistant. I got an assistant 14 and a half years into my career. Sorry, guys. That was my dog. He just pushed the door open and came in. He's like, what are you doing in here? I hear your voice. I want to be included. I don't care if I'm interrupting your YouTube video. And that's another thing. Just briefly, I want to just say we lost our dog, Sam. Last autumn, we had to put him down finally. He was 14 and a half, and here he comes again. Okay, come on. Come here. What are you doing? You bad dog. You terrible canine. That's right. But anyway, so Sam passed away and it was super devastating to us. And so now we've got Jax and he's 12 and a half and we put him on, well, actually I did. Hubs had to go home and screw around with some kind of a money thing in early January. So he had to leave Mazatlan and go back here and goof around with that for 10 days. It was just dreadful. And I started carnivore, strict carnivore for a 90-day trial. I'm going to talk about that next. And Jax was doing so bad. He had like head whipping because his ears bothered him all the time. He stunk to high heaven. He had a terrible fungal infection where he would crust and leak and smell. And I just knew it was his diet and I didn't know what else to do. So I started carnivore January 1 and then he started carnivore January 13. About 3 days before Hubs returned, I started Jax on carnivore. And I don't know if he liked it or not. But for the first 2 months, there wasn't a big improvement with him. But then it started to get better. Each month he was better. He's almost got none of it left. He cannot have almost 1 crumb of anything but just meat or animal products. Like he's fine on fish, pork, shrimp, chicken, beef, everything. I usually make him a hamburger patty, or I give him a hamburger patty a day. They're like a quarter pound. That's about right for him. He's a 9.5 pound dog, so that works. And I just give him little tiny pieces and stuff. And he usually eats all of that. Sometimes he eats a little less. Sometimes he wants a little more. I make like 3 or 4 at a time. And so now he's legitimately a carnivore dog. July 13th will be his 6-month anniversary. And he's doing so much better, it's laughable. Like, you forget the daily ear ointments and, cleaning that Hubs used to do. You forget the bi-weekly bathing because he stunk so bad. That was the only thing that did it. And until, in fact, Hubs was like, oh, Jack's is kind of starting to stink, because he does have a little tiny bit of it left. He's got like 5 or 10% of what he had. And I said, yeah, his groom was 5 weeks ago, and I'm taking him in this Tuesday. And Hubs was like, it was? And I said, yes. So Hubs was used to having to mitigate the horror of this fungal thing with special medicated shampoos and stuff. And so then when he did Carney, and it's just this last month, Hubs was like, well, he's starting to smell. I might have to give him a bath. I said, oh, he's going into the groomer in 3 or 4 days. And Hubs was like, I said, yeah, you haven't touched him or bathed him in 5 weeks. And Hubs was like, he just hadn't thought about it, because when you're living the misery, you show up and you do the miserable thing. But when the misery goes away, you don't notice it's gone away right away, because you're no longer being besieged by it. You just notice its absence when it's you reminded, like what I did this time with him. So he's night and day better. So if you have a dog that has, a fungal thing, crusting, leaking, bad ears, all that stuff, I highly recommend carnivore. And I get my burger patties on sale at QFC. It's Kroger brand, so you could go to Fred Meyer and do it. And they're $1.25 each. I get the 7327 lean to fat. And I get them on special, 8 patties for $10. And I find that pretty reasonable. If you had a large dog, it'd be more money, but, well, is it better than bathing him all the time and taking him to the vet at $100 a pop? Yeah, it ends up being cheaper long term. So even if your dog's bigger, I way prefer that. We used to have a giant schnauzer, and he ate a pound of meat a day. So that makes sense that my almost 10-pound dog has about a quarter of what our giant schnauzer had at like 80 pounds. And he'd do like a pound and a third. And I just got away from that and didn't really remember that I had done that, because I was back in the 90s. That was 30 years ago, right? And then when I started with Jax, I was like, oh, I remember that the Skansen Kennels owner had said, we guarantee our dogs against fleas and hip dysplasia if you feed them a natural diet of all meat. Right? So that was interesting. But anywho, I began carnivore on January 1, and I did it until March 27th. And I'm going to just tell you really quick the stats. I lost 5 pounds, and so I went off carnivore. How strict was I? I had beef and eggs. I had ground beef for 2 weeks in a row with butter on top, and I had eggs. And I didn't even start to really lose weight for the first 6 weeks. Like, I lost like a pound in the first month. It was so slow and so awful, but you guys, I was in such bad shape. I've lost about 10 pounds since January 1, which isn't very good. I don't love that, but I am still down 10 pounds, thank God, because I was really, after that thyroid episode where I gained like 35 pounds, I was chubby for the first time in my life, and I didn't love it. I wanted to opt out. I was like, what in the blue hell is this? No, thank you. But I did lose 5 pounds, but I was very underwhelmed by this speed. I was like 1.5 or 1.6 pounds a month for this kind of strictness, and this adherence is not a reward enough for me. And so it's not that, those are still my favorite foods. I have beef every day of my life. Every time I eat, I have it every day. But then I was sick of it. I kind of went off the rails, and I started doing OMAD. I didn't, get stupid, because I know that with my thyroid, I have to be protein centric. What does that mean? Well, my floor for protein is 100 grams, okay? 12, 13 ounce steak, 3, 4 burger patties because I have to protect my thyroid. I have to protect my skin, my hair, and the building blocks of my body. And so I always have to have that protein. It doesn't always have to be beef. You know, I crave chicken a couple times a month. I crave pork like once a month. I crave fish every week. So my body is saying, this is what I want. And today I want this thing. That mainly it's beef. I wasn't really impressed with it. And that was tough because I thought carne was going to be the answer for everything. And that's why my channel is called The Cheating Carnivore. It's just kind of like a little subheader there. It's mainly Tamara Blodgett because I'm talking about my life, my stuff, and if anything's relevant, you can adopt it or think about it or dismiss it. You know, it's whatever. But that's what I'm doing. So it's actually me. But I am still trying to work out a formula of what works for me. And I think I'm circling something that might work, but I don't want to speak too soon. So in April, I did OMAD the whole month and I maintained. So that told me, okay, I'm overeating during my 1.5 hour window. And of course my adherence was beautiful. And I never did anything less than 16. And I always did 18 or more. And sometimes I'd go all the way to like 27. I'm gonna have to shut the door because that bratty dog came in and then left it open. And I know that I'm not a perfect carnivore and the space is filled with people that, you know, I jumped off a 5-story building and because I have a steak every day, I bounded up and I was perfect. I'm not one of those. I think carnivore is the very best thing to do if you can. The gains I made, the non-scale victories, I just want to tell people about losing weight because girls are into that. But the non-scale victories were humongous. My sleep, and within 2 weeks, my sleep went from barely getting by from 5.5 to 6.5 hours, broken sometimes, waking up in the middle of the night, you know, like in a tree full of owls, you know, totally awake, hated it, to like 8, 9 hours one day. For the only time in my adult life ever, I slept 11. I asked Tubbs, I said, why didn't you wake me up? And he was like, I wasn't going to wake you up. I figured that you were healing or something. You were okay. I was like, oh my God. And so the sleep was amazing. I was not very adapted until I was in past 2 months. So I thought that I was becoming fat adapted and that I was adapting to everything. But I was actually week 7 or 8 was when I started to feel incredible, like younger. And my skin was incredible. But I've had ear eczema for a long time and that did not fully resolve. And I agree with the people in the space saying you do need like 90 days. You really do. If I had quit at 30, it would have been so preemptive. It would have been so amputated to really get data that I needed. What else happened? Oh, I started smelling great. Yeah. My teeth, there was no bad breath. There was no BO. Everything smelled good. You'll have to fill in the blanks there. I was like, wow, this is incredible. Because part of the reason we take showers as human beings is that we start to notice that we have that funky smell. We're like, oh, we don't smell as fresh as we did. We'll go take a shower. Well, I went one time, I experimented. I went like 3 days and I didn't take a shower. And there was no cue. There was no scent cue to tell me to take a shower. I just smelled fine. In fact, I smelled a little bit like kind of a clean, powdery smell. It's kind of hard to describe, I mean, unless you've done it. And that didn't come immediately. That was like 6 weeks in too. So you do have to give it the time. So if you want to, oh my God, with the people coming back and forth, guys. If you want to smell better, if you want to sleep amazing, if you want to feel energetic and youthful and wonderful and bright, and your whole mindset, your whole perspective is one of a higher level of just feeling as a human being better, happier, more relaxed, more focused, all those things are true. If you want to lose weight and you're postmenopausal, you might be underwhelmed. But the way you feel is fantastic. I can't say enough about it, but it is very restrictive. Now, I didn't care. I was doing 90 days and I wanted to be strict and I wanted to just eat the dumb foods, the beef and the eggs, and just see what happened. I didn't have cheese or anything, and I had butter, but I didn't go crazy on the butter. And I got a lot of data from it. I understand now how much I should eat. I understand what makes me feel good. I understand how much and what type. Okay, and I'm just gonna go with all the other carnivores and say steak and eggs are the way to do it, and butter. But now I'm eating differently. And I did OMAD with some mixed food, but always with the protein for the whole month of April. And then I went into, oh gosh, what did I do after that? Oh yeah, ADF. I just got done with 2 months of ADF, alternate day fasting. I didn't eat Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then I had a compressed eating window on Sunday. So I would fast from Saturday at like 6 o'clock until 18 hours later. And then on Sunday I'd have 3 hours of eating. And then I would fast all the way to Tuesday morning. And I lost about 3 pounds. So I'm down, well, no, 4. I'm down 4 pounds or something from 2 months of ADF. So losing weight for me at this age with whatever's going on is not easy. Now, a couple of things I noted is that if I'm careful with the types of foods I eat during ADF, the fasting its own self will resolve my ears. That's the only thing that really resolved on ADF. My skin looks way better. My floaters are way minimized. I mean, when I started carnivore January 1, I had blurry vision, goopy eyes, terrible floater situation. I couldn't see my computer. I was in a terrible state. And carnivore front-loaded healing, and then the ADF, past the OMAD in April, the ADF was what really amped it up. And so I do believe in fasting, but I also was like, I adhered to that very strictly, and I didn't get the gains either for the weight loss. So now I'm trying a hybrid method. I'm gonna try OMAD Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I'm gonna do a compressed window on Sunday because Hubs and I have our day off. And then I'm gonna do a fast from Sunday to Tuesday morning. So I'll have one 36-hour fast and the rest will be OMADs for the most part. I'm gonna see how that goes in the month of July. And if I have to lose a floor of 4 pounds. For it to be successful, I have to lose 4 pounds in a month. That's how I'm looking at it. And I haven't even been able to lose 3. So I'm looking at that. If that does not work, then in August I will go to OMAD Carney. And that will be just, basically I'll be way more variety. I'll have all the animal products I want. I'll have yogurts, I'll have milk, cream if I feel like it, which I don't as much anymore. I'm really a black coffee fan now because of all the fasting, so I don't really desire cream. And I will do, of course, beef and stuff too. But OMAD is the most convenient. But because I like to have low-carb junk food on Sundays, I find myself wanting to fast the next day to kind of recover and feel better and sort of let my body rejuvenate and recycle and get rid of the stuff that, wasn't as good. Like I'll have cauliflower pizza, I'll have maybe, low-carb Rebel or something like that, for instance. So I just feel like my life has a lot of changes going on right now. And the bare minimum is that I'm still doing nutritional stuff. I'm still figuring out what I want to eat and that. So anyway, I'll let you guys go for now. I'll come back in a second. Hey guys, it's the next day and I'm in my pajamas, which is my preferred outfit for working. Actually, it's my preferred outfit regardless. And I didn't get done with my video yesterday, so I have to start the next day because we had to go over to the kids' house. My daughter-in-law's parents were visiting, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to do this. And Hubs was outside the window going, he's gonna take off. He was like, I don't know how you've lost, your sense of time. But I didn't have my watch on, I didn't have a clock here. I just usually use my computer as my clock. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do that. But anyway, I wanted to just touch on, this is gonna be the longest video in the history of the world, Boy 2. And when he moved to Washington, I offered him a position as my assistant, and it killed a ton of birds with one stone, a whole flock, because I want an exit ramp for retirement. That doesn't mean I want to stop writing or being me or doing YouTubes or anything like that. It's just going to be more like I'm going to do things that I really enjoy, and I'm going to put the admin and the maintenance of the catalog of my books on him. And it also allows him to have a more flexible schedule. He can work at his main job part-time and receive benefits and all those things that are so important nowadays. And then he can work for me part-time, and together he'll have a full-time salary. It's a legacy move. It allows one of my children to take over my business so that once I'm gone, they can manage it and they can keep it going. And so I'm very excited about that. He's done very well. Right now, he's kind of my ads manager. He takes care of all my ads for me. And he also maintains the metadata, which is, it's all technical stuff here, guys. But when you go to my product page and I have a book there, he's now in charge of making sure the page where we have choice, you know, looks as professional and is comprehensive enough for a reader to say, do I want to buy this book? Do I want to read this book? What does it say about the book? What does the cover look like? What does the synopsis say? What kind of an author is this? That's our metadata. And he has updated all of my ASINs, which is what we call my titles. In Amazon, they're called ASINs. He's updated all of those so that they all look very professional. That now has been his new role, metadata. He also is in charge of getting out my MailChimps to let people know when a new release has come out. And he's also in charge of my ads. And there'll be more things for me to train him on, such as formatting books, formatting the actual source, the file source, which is something I hand coded back in 2010, and it's a Word doc derived from openoffice.org that another creator on YouTube showed me how to do, and I've been using that template since then. So I can take a source file, I can write my book directly into the Word file I created, and then I can convert it to docx and I can put it into my software that makes it look really pretty like a print copy, even when it's I'm going to train him how to do that. And book covers. Now, I'm not, some kind of a graphic artist, but I can put a book cover together. In fact, Her and the Fifth Wife were done from scratch by me before AI. And now all my book covers are AI, every single one of them, because I can put into the generation prompt exactly what my book is about, what elements I want to have in the cover. And so it's very personalized to what my vision is as the author, to what I want my future reader or current readers to see. They're like, yep, that cover matches the story as I see it. And then the typography and everything, I also generate that as well, so it can look really professional. If I want on fire letters and gleaming letters or certain elements, I want it to look really professional. So that's been fun too. And of course, he's much younger than I am. He's mid-30s. And so for him, all of the tech stuff isn't a big learning curve. It's not a leap. You want to hire someone that's quite a bit younger than you so they can keep things going after you're retired or dead or whatever. It's the same principle as you wouldn't go to a doctor that was your age, because you still need doctoring. And if they're retiring at the same age that you're like 60 something, that doesn't really work out. It's not sustainable. You want to get a younger doctor so that person can doctor you until you're at the end of life. Anyway, that was a lot of information, but I don't mind you guys knowing what I'm doing. It keeps you guys relevant and looped and stuff. And I'm not gonna stop writing. I'm gonna keep writing at least 1 or 2 books a year until such time that I can't. Because of, malaise, my hands don't work, my brain's gone, it's falling out my ears or something like that, which I don't endeavor to be possible right now. I'm one of those gals that wants to just die in her sleep because my body goes, I'm tired now. Anyhow, I do implore you to subscribe. I will be putting out as a minimum 1 video a month on my TRB Tribe channel here. I don't know what the content will be. It'll probably be Mazatlan heavy when I'm down there. And then when I'm here, it'll be more like, what are my diet schemes and what are they doing to work? How's my hair going? Some anecdotal stuff about authoring, maybe daily life stuff. It's kind of a Tamara Rose Blodgett life loop channel because I do lead an interesting life. I have a split lifestyle. I live down in Mazatlan and here in America. I have a small publishing empire. I'm a writer. That's interesting too. There's just a lot of things going on, and I'm fairly skilled as well. Like I just got done with the kids' house, and like I said, that's not an arrogant comment. That's a confidence comment, and you would know the difference because I'm not saying I'm great at it. I'm saying I can do it. I'm proficient. So I do all kinds of things. I can do trim carpentry, basic electrical. I can do stripping, sanding. The only thing I'm not great at is plumbing. But Hubs is great at stuff. So we're a really good team. I come in and do the uncomplicated stuff well. He does the complicated stuff well, and it meshes. Like, for instance, this is just a cute little anecdotal also. We'll do a paint, and I'll cut in and he'll roll because he hates cutting in. It's tedious, it takes time, you have to be very precise, and he's got all these things he wants to accomplish. I say, I'll cut in, you roll after me. And he does. And that's how we do it. And very much the same thing. He'll put up the trim because I can trim very well, as a matter of fact, but he's way better and way faster. So he trims out all the stuff, and I come in behind him and I fill in all the nail holes and make it look pretty. We work well together. What can I say? You guys, subscribe. Dig me by subscribing. Love you. Talk to you next time.